important matchup. Like, 4 play days left to go. If you win here, first of all, you take 3 points your opponent won't get, but also get a head up on the actual race towards that top 4. Because NAVI just currently in it. MNM is sitting on the equal amount of points. Yeah, important matchup.
I mean, okay, I think we have to look at the sort of grander picture of this. Is this technical, including today, 4 play days left, which is a total of 12 points.
12 points.
And you're looking at the top team, Wolves, are sitting on 15 points. The lowest team, Secret, sitting on 12 points. It's all still technically within reach, technically.
Yeah.
Today we might get a big break, and that big break is from the third, or the second place even, 10 points of Rogue, down to 7th place, 7. Everybody is very close.
They're all a win away from potentially making it in, except, of course, GT, Poland, and Secret. Those are a bit further. As the bands continue on, that's the next band we've talked about before. The Izami gone off the board as well, just like the Valkyrie. Don't speak about Thatcher. Always gets removed nowadays. It's it's for the last couple of years already. Doesn't see that much play. And we're headed on to Chalet. And yeah, the grander picture, everybody is so close. You really want a full-time win here. You need those 3 points because that just puts you in a better spot, puts the others in a way worse position. And as we get going, round 1, Emmy, kitchen and dining first up for MNM.
Whoa, let's find a trip there. There was a fun statistic, and I apologize, I can't quite remember who posted it, but it raised the question that Chalet as a map in NA, apparently Bedroom has a 0% success rate. In NA, not in EU, and that's just it's just a curious, fun Chalet statistic I thought I would throw up into the air, and I guess that's some of the shape of this map and how you're obviously, you're looking towards them as a league, you're looking towards them as a position, and how you try and put that fight in.
Which one?
It was the Bedroom on defense.
The Bedroom on defense. So I have Master Office.
Yeah, Master Office.
50% defensive win rate.
Oh, maybe I was incorrect on my statistic.
It is. Skyscraper has a 0% win rate overall. Seems to be a bit of a bug there. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Maybe it's backwards.
Maybe it's backwards.
I'll have to go and re-find it. And then blame whoever. It was someone else on Twitter. Yeah, we'll figure it out. But, okay, point of the conversation is it's starting to get a little bit learnt by attackers, because Chalet is a great map for attackers. And you started to see that Master Office swing around the office as being a good lead-in for defenders. It was the start of a lot of the holds, and here it's fallen out, that preference a little bit. It's sort of become like CC was on Clubhouse, where in an attacker-driven meta, people are learning the attacks on the one they run the most. The pressure here coming all the way across the top of the Solarium side, some underneath on Trophy. That's a Twitch drone that, well, it believed it could and it did.
A lot of utility taken out there, 2 pests and a camera. Almost got caught there, actually. Wasn't quite aware of the fact that it was out there, but managed to just save it there and take out those pests. Now, Yak, continuing on that drone, we'll find 1 person. It's aware of a second one being out there as well, due to the smoke canister that did just pop. This user is receiving some grenades from below. It's not taking too much damage, though. So a lot of utility being used in this very early minute here. Twitch drones, grenades all coming through, but no one really taking a big hit here.
Bit of a hold, a bit of a wait, as we start to see Navi try and structure themselves towards the site. There it is. The first fight breaks through. Skitty finds a grenade, hunting at the same time, and suddenly they're inside, putting the pressure directly round onto the chassis itself. Neo is in a blink of an eye. All that's left, and another blink later, he is not left at all. Navi suddenly found a swing and a hit, and maybe Fresh was talking about something proper on the desk before when he broke down their ability to close down on attacks like that.
Yeah, for sure, and it was a very orchestrated attack coming through there. 2 kills coming in at the same time, and of course those could be partially a bit of luck factor that they come together at that very same second. The grenade popping up from below at the same time. The swing coming through onto the hallway door, both picked up in favor of Navi. You find yourself with a 2-minute advantage, and 30 seconds later the round is over without taking a single loss. Navi, good first start on the attack here, and as we're headed towards the basement, they can potentially continue. You know what Ace said, by the way, for the defenders?
What'd he say?
Make sure that hatch is
Make
open.
sure it's open.
You don't want to
I had to explain that to my stack. I said, if Tim
this is interesting.
Partially opened.
It's not fully open, but
it gives you the angle.
Yeah, and it doesn't allow them to drop, so they actually would have to open it up if they want to go for a drop. But it still allows you to challenge underneath it. So you might still be able to stop the plan that way.
And you
Oh, never mind.
There it is. I was going to say, if you're putting the mirror window up there as well, then you assume you want that as an escape because you want to try and play that territory, but rotating around on Chalet is something that can be done. Okay, NAVI, a great first swing here on the attack on Chalet, and you know how important this game is because we talk about 12 potential points remaining. We'll also point out the fact that you are in 4th currently, MNM are in 5th, and your remaining games in hand, NAVI is Wolves, Heroic, and Rogue, the top 3 teams. So if you have any hope of trying to take the fight to them, you've got to start it here with at least the one team you've got left that's currently beneath you here. The pressure is going to start over West Main. Nello's just getting some drone intel ahead of the swing of Solotov, give him some potential. They're looking for a bit of aggression, and they're trying to find it on the little cuts on the windows, but they're not quite fully cemented, and they just pull themselves a little bit back as the pressure comes from multiple angles.
Trying to go a bit aggro onto the defense here. They don't quite want to give it away, and let's start with the very first kill. Naved picked up, and rightfully so. Just drone coming in. Oh, it was a hack drone. All right. So thought they had some information there, able to punish on it straight away. Mirror window gets popped. Was that by Mozzie? I think it was. Did Solotov open it and then just drop?
Yes.
Okay, but because assumed there was still not a player there, so I wasn't quite sure.
It does obviously give you the ability to swing around from the main stairs if you want to take that. Neo can try and apply some pressure, or Tyrant, obviously, who's loosing around. They felt the breath down their neck from the opposite side, from the side of Trophy. So instead of giving them a locked wall with a mirror window to watch, remove the mirror window, because you know they're going to be taking over dining. They cannot have anything else that means they then also cannot try and rotate back in from the big lobby stairs. Blur. Oh, there's just a bit of a C4. He outpaces, doesn't quite get the catch on the kill, but now he's tucked in on the hatch, and there's that pop mirror window that means he has to play it a little bit more cautiously because he knows he could be caught.
Next one opened up on the back of the snowmobile as well, so they can create these long angles towards Thunder, towards Blur. But with Tyrant still up above, he's going to try and hunt this player up above the hatch. Gets the headshot somehow as he tries to trace back after not hitting it in the very first attempt. Thunder here holding this breach, doesn't know someone has jumped up, and this actually allows him to retake that top floor, retake that hatch. And as these grenades get tossed in, they are afraid of it.
A fadeaway headshot. The Echo drone's trying to get a shot off, and there's a bit of a trade out in the middle of the site. 40 seconds, and Users finds one more. MNM have that response. One apiece, locked in down on Snowmobile after the back of some pretty fun, frightening roaming.
Good calls there indeed. They managed to get that very first kill on the roaming, then decided, you know what, it's time to fall back. What confused me with the mirror window was because there was 2 players and only one fell back. I was like, surely the second one has to go back now as well. So as you said, the reason indeed is to make sure they don't have that mirror window to defend with. And they left that as well. And the retake, Tyrant, I don't know. He just starts spraying. He expected him to be a little bit closer towards that window. Not the case. And as he fades off, he gets that final kill. It helps. That's for sure. Echo Drone leading in with some of those stuns as well, allowing these gunfights to be a little bit easier for the side of MNM. You're now 1-1. Equalized that score as you see it on the replay here again. Gets a ping. It's not quite correct. Falls back. And finds the headshot as he doesn't. Now, as we are in games, the top floor is going to be quite crucial again. Hatch there is able to deny any of the jump-ins from the big windows, stop any of those plans happening, for example. But at the same time, it's something we've seen from NA many times before, is the push through the basement. You would actually open up onto the pantry wall, make that position unplayable, and after that, you can just, as it's beautiful being portrayed here by medics, just push into the bar straight away, and there's not much they can do as there's little positions to play in.
It's one of the things that might work well with how Na'Vi have their approaches, structured and quick, sharp takes. As we saw in the opening round, is something where on this site, where there is a sort of 2-factor, 2-story level of domination, well, you can play that game. And you can play that game with a little bit of this outside external freedom that gives you the time to build up to an attack. Nath, he's going to steady his way in and up from underneath the snowmobile stairs itself and potentially all the way to the top, looking for the usual bulletproof. Doesn't quite catch it. Doesn't take that drone because there's more important utility to get first. Gets an ADS on the corner. Makes that Wamai a little bit less safe, but it is still a Wamai.
I didn't want to give away the Twitch drone that was coming in there, so gets the ADS first, or then zaps that camera. Managed to save it as well, so you might have some zaps later on coming in as well from Nave. So the second drone just scouting out for himself, droning himself in, opening up that barricade is definitely going to let the defenders know that he's coming. Ella will be on standby in the pantry here. Now, I talked before on how they would and could open pantry. Not the case now, as there is no Maverick. Have to use some of that harp, which is sort of quite close to Blur here. Bit of awkward battle.
I mean, it was just that sort of thing. He threw the drone out. Blur obviously didn't stick on it, but in that situation, you're hoping to either try and catch them on the swing, see if they pull themselves back, or, well, you can't really get too far, because if they're holding the angle and you try and move out, then you're in a bit of a tight spot. But well, Solosov really wanted that fight, and Blur unfortunately found the wrong side of it, didn't quite get a connection, and that gives them that opening lead in. Arena Gates being reactivated onto the windows. Navi's found themselves stalling a little bit here over the top. They're trying to get a little bit more control over the players that are putting that pressure back across it, but with Yak on the split windows there towards the top of the piano side, they're just going for a hot hop, and the pre-fire find one. Nath gets the second connection. Suddenly they have a body balance in their favor. One more caught out, and there it is. Skitty gets themselves picked back up, and then the stroke and a swing, they've got this control of the top. Usus wanted to retake it, loses his life out to Skitty with the triple, leaving just Neo left, trying to drive his way around. You assume it's going to be watched, and it is. Nath has that lock in, and I said they could strike sharp. They even did it on a bit of a back foot there.
Did it on the back foot, managed to take that the library under control there. Still kind of confused that suddenly everything shifted in their favor, and after that you see the MNM players trying to go more aggressive. They lose 2 players, they still continue peeking to try and bring back that body balance, but Navi well equipped to deal with it here, managing to pick up their second round as well onto that bar site. Now that is 3 sites played, 2 won by the attackers and only 1 by MNM. Kitchen Dining is coming up next. One they struggled with as well. You see Skitty just jumping through Suya Laser Gate. I mean, you are, you can heal yourself back up. It's not that big of a deal, especially since you get a bit of a surprise factor as soon as you jump through. Yes, it gives the information, but if you toss the flashbang first and then you jump through, it's like 2 seconds of delay, giving them more chance to prepare. But more importantly, let's see how they will adapt, how they will change their current setup. So flawless is the way it was led into by Navi. They surely don't want to have that happen again on the side of MNM. They need to lock this off with, let's say, a 2-4 or 3-3 scoreline for MNM.
You want at least 2 on your defense. I think one of the things that can play against them here is that they're not the biggest stretch on Chalet, these 2 teams. It's not a map that they come to with a lot of preference. It's not a map that they generally put in some of their bigger performances. The fact that Oregon was almost where we went, which was where the 2 teams actually met in the first split, and the only player difference there was secretly for Skitty, with secretly being the only person who didn't really get his teeth in. So Skitty a little bit eyes on this game, because if he can be a difference maker, I mean, it was a 7-5 last time round to the side of MNM. And here's Skitty making that difference almost instantly. The grenade is going to go onto Tyrant's feet. Does get the catch too, and I said he could be big, but he's going huge.
That could be a top play of the week already. Just gets in, gets that first kill somehow. Tyrant unaware of the fact that Finka just got a kill right below him, and a grenade could be coming up next, especially if a shield there. So double kill coming in, absolutely big from Skitty there, and that is going to be putting Navi onto a giant advantage here, trying to retake this site yet once more, trying to make sure that they get yet another round on the board. And as he's starting to attack horizontally now, there is still 2 players up on the top floor, but eventually it won't matter if they manage to get the site down.
Well, here comes this flat pressure now across the side. The big bows of lobby are starting to fall, and Skitty with the perfect lead in is something where maybe they were taken a bit by surprise, but it gives Navi so much time to do exactly this. Start to structure themselves on this approach, see if they can try and put the pressure onto box itself and then dig it in. The players are gone. They've pulled themselves as far back as possible. Usus in the bathtub, Neo on the bed, or just tucked behind it, and Nello the only one onto the site itself. How long can they hold on for? Because they're about to have the onslaught of Navi.
Neo holding a tight angle there onto the balcony, hoping to find one as they move in to bring that body balance a little bit closer. Zach's pushing in first with a diffuser here. Could be a bit detrimental if he falls. Neo's falling back just in time as the window gets opened up onto the solarium. It's Usus that is dug into the bathroom here. Is about to be distracted here. Finds 1 kill. Hopes to go for the second, but Blur gets down to about 5 HP. But the diffuser has been dropped, and that's huge.
Now they're going to see if they can just hold on to the backside. He's got himself tucked into a new corner, but not for very long. Skitty with the triple for the round. The fight there over the trophy window. Neo's just able to slip and slink his way by, but he's still trying to apply some pressure here. He wants to catch them before suddenly everybody's trying to catch them from behind. Look at the time, 30 seconds. They've got to see if they can try and drive themselves down a staircase. It's currently smoked off and locked in. Blur might be the huge play from the opposite side. Do they know Neo's there? They do now, and he's going to find himself a new route out. Drops down, rotates around. It's a 3 versus 1, and they know he's underneath. They're going to pick up the kit, a handful of seconds, see if they can get it stuck down on the hard floor. A quick bit and swing of momentum as Neo comes up. Watches for the first fight. They're swinging either side. They're not quite able to get the lock in with the UMP. There's at least a huge take onto the split on the opposite side. A post plant 2 versus 1. Barely any health. Has to try and slink his way round, but can't find the corner. NAVI just about lock it out.
They just about do so indeed, but Neo dropping there inside a trophy, that was a difference maker, because as soon as he dropped down towards that basement, it's a 4-on-1 or a 3-on-1 for the person left on site. You're just going to be overrun. They realize this well. He's in basement now. He doesn't have a C4, it's a castle. We can just start pushing towards the side. We get that bomb down, and at the moment he's coming back up, we have our job done. That's exactly what they did. They held the rotation, made sure he wasn't able to get back inside and stop that plant from happening. And thus a 3-on-1 on the board now. Navi is expanding on their lead, but this is how it all started out. Skitty with that first pick finds Solotov just wandering about. And this one is a bit strange though. Tyrant, you know, okay, you cannot just instantly fall away, but as a Finker gets a kill right underneath you, you might need to expect that a grenade could be coming. Just temporarily leave your position, see if that grenade is coming. If it doesn't come, you can always move back, but just 2 kills handed to him for free. And now, back towards the basement we go. The side that was actually won by this side of MNM onto the defense. See if they can do that again. There's a similar kind of setup coming through. Hatches open up, mirror windows deployed. Looking over. No Finka. Well, no, there is Finka.
I was going to say, actually, no, Finka.
The Dokkaebi is the new pick. I thought they swapped it out for a second.
No, I don't think. And it was pointed out by Thunder. It was pointed out that...
No more Dokkaebi.
When are we going to see someone target ban Skitty and Finker?
Yeah.
Maybe sooner after the performance that he's been able to lead in here. He wasn't the quickest to get into the season, but by God, he's found his pace. 7-2, and I said he could be the difference maker, and now's the time to make the difference. The body already lost. The C4 doesn't get itself over, but Solotov does. It just got caught out on the top there, and now then, being able to remove Skitty, being able to remove Thunder quite early on, it puts a lot of pressure on that backline structure of Nathan Yak to see if they can help Blur get a couple of bodies.
That grenade, that C4, if it went over, that could have been huge there. Blur, in the meantime, knocking on the front door of the side. It's looking to see if he can find a way inside. Of course, most of MNM have fallen back, considering they have a 2-minute advantage here, so they want to utilize that. Quickly checking the table. They think there might be an electroclaw hidden in there, and I don't think they could be wrong.
No, it was quite a late throw.
Yeah, but I don't know if they had one in there earlier, which they taken care of, and now wondering why it's still electrified.
Well, they've got a minute 40 to see if they can solve the puzzle of the one that's right in front of them. It's pinged. The reveal on the drone. It's going to be a little bit of a grenade roll just underneath. Should catch that Banshee as well. Yak takes the damage to make sure they can get it popped in time. Uses has to pull himself around and throws the claw into the second one. This one will at least stop and catch this. There it was. It was thrown just before, as we saw, and that means they have this singular point of breach to at least trade off. Nath finds Solotov after he's already found his second for the round. Blue's a bit dangerous. A minute 10. Look at the slow creep over the top. Tyrant, he's making a very steady, calm rotate towards the control above that power point of the hatch itself. The slip through. Nello providing all the intel that he can. The swing, the pull, the reveal, the drop of the camera. Do they know the plant's going down? Well, Nath picks himself up, and suddenly Tyrant's putting a little bit of energy in. That C4 doesn't quite get the full scratch. There's one for Nath. He's looking for the next, but it comes against him. MNM have their second on their defense on the same site.
Again, same side, this time led in with that aggression coming through. Getting the spawn peak, first of all, onto the Dokkaebi, not being able to use any of the utility, no phone calls coming out, no hack cams coming through. And after that, finding Skitty as well. You were talking about how much he is a difference maker in this game. You saw in that very last round as well, where he managed to get the double entry. This time picked up without a single impact onto that round. And that finds us here with MNM on their second round, but they do desperately need that third. And this Barn Gaming will be up next. See if they can make a difference here this time around, because they struggled here after the library take was called for by Navi. Suddenly 2 kills coming their way. The body balance turned around back into their favor. Didn't actually last long after that, because MNM just kept throwing bodies at them, and Navi kept on punishing them for it. That is something they should not do at this moment in time. See if you can repeat into the successes of that last round.
MNM, if you can find yourself one more here, I think it will do you a world of good. Not just because you're looking for, you know, to be honest, you're looking for 2, but you're looking to try and swing some of that momentum back into your favor. Still, Navi are finding themselves a bit on the back foot, but then biting back. That control, that confidence, you need to try and remove from them before they find themselves freewheeling around the map and the site itself. Sometimes, especially in the most recent time of MNM, it was a little bit of a slow start on the attacks, making sure you got the control and the pressure. And if Skiddy's sort of feeling his swings, it might be something that becomes a little bit more dangerous. Yak is still shut out of this game up to this moment in time, but when you're playing that sort of support role and bringing that structure around, you've still got 3 rounds for the trouble.
So the new pick that MNM have decided to go with here is going to be that Frost. They had a Rooney in the last round they played here, and you know, it bought them some time, it did some damage, but wasn't quite able to lock off any of the kills. These Frost mats need to make the difference here, and that's the C4 that pops out. Unfortunately, gets one of them. Uses gets taken out by a grenade. I believe that gets rolled through the down hole, eventually taken out as well. 4-4, but the diffuser has been dropped in the meantime as well.
Well, they were able to at least get a body out of it, but now with a cold kit and Nath gone, without really being able to have a huge impact, they've also lost those Twitch drones, which they were quite big in removing some of the utility round on the backside. Skiddy's going to see if he can try and roll his up and just get the intel on the power positions and the players, because we remember the snap last time was very well put together. Now it's going to be trickier, mainly because you've still got those ADSs standing, you've still got a lot of intel. Blur, he's going to see if he can try and put a bit of flat pressure inside this time round.
Still 1 Frostmat up. They managed to take care of 1. There's still 1 on that double window, and there is an upside-down rappel. If anybody would be able to see it, it should be them at this moment in time. The other one, of course, near the balcony, but no one seems to be coming that direction as of now. It seems to be a 4-point push as Blur looking in to join in from the top hallway in 1 onto the balcony outside as well.
Well, Tyrant, he's tucked behind the shield round on Pillar, waiting for the swing onto the window. Blur's giving them some width now. He's sort of played his hand and shown it, and as that wall gets popped open, Tyrant, where can you go? Kind of nowhere, because Skiddy's round on the backside. Solotov tried to save on, but couldn't quite get the full connection and instead pulls back. A difference last time where MNM tried to throw themselves back in. The heal comes out across the board for Navi. They have the man advantage, they have the kit back, and they have the pressure from above. Solotov, he gets himself a little tuck-in corner here round and hopes some pressure comes around on the stairs, but as you see Thunder tries and gets himself positioned around on the hatch. There's just some angles. Navi, they're making use of their time for now. Neo, he's waiting for this open glove for the catch that might come through as Navi prep themselves. The last bit of drones roll out, try and get the catch on the MNM players. They might have just seen one underneath this hatch. They're going to drop and see if they can get aggro. Nello, he's holding on. He's ready with a shotgun pumped and locked. There's one. There's 2. Double stacked round. It's over towards the door itself. The pressure's on the corridor. There's only a second left. Finds 2 out the door. They can't quite get the connection with the last man. But MNM just lock it down.
Nello made the right decision there, Amy. At that moment, he was looking at the hatch with the SMG-11, and he's like, but what if 2 people drop? Let me just grab my shotgun, and as he grabs it, pumps it ready to go. 2 start dropping through, and that's where they lost the round on Navi's side, because there's nothing they could do. They could not reply to that English shotgun. If you believe in it hard enough, it's always going to be that one shot down. You managed to get 2. Suddenly, everything turns into your favor. And yes, it was a 1v1 on the end. However, not enough time to cover all the ground that needed to be covered. And that finds us in a 3-3. This moment, he swaps over to that shotgun, aims down the side, and that's exactly when they decide to go for the drop. Finds both of them. Just a single shot fired in the meantime from that Finka towards his feet. But it didn't even connect. So that might have been, I mean, you know, nobody siege timing is a bad thing. That's kind of the right thing. Just the right moment to swap towards your shotgun and aim at that hatch and think, what if it is more than one?
With a 3-3 half, and at points it didn't really feel like it, but that could as well just be because Navi were on their attack. Now the pressure, to be honest, is on them, on their defense. You always generally struggle with your defense here onto Chalet, and it's making sure that you can carry that across. As I said before, that round probably had more importance based on the momentum than anything else. Two fresh blood players that fell into the lap of Nello is going to be something where, to be honest, on the side of Navi, they probably feel like they should have and could have won that. And they've got to try and shake out those cobwebs and bring it back round here for the hold. Starting on bar, a quick bit of pace from Nello, the Flores drone, just getting all the read and the intel on anything that might be tucked behind that window, but outside of an Aruna gate, nothing to be found.
Would have been better to actually jump that drone inside the serial laser gate. Just open up the barricade yourself after that. Actually would have taken care of the BC utility there. Unfortunately, not the case. And with 2 minutes 15 on that clock, surely they can get rid of it. They also have Hibana on the board. Sometimes we actually see these Excaros being used to get rid of the serial laser gates. Of course, you have 16 of them. You can shoot them per 2. So if you're not using it as Heartbreach, it's a good utility to actually get rid of serial laser gates whilst being able to still flash people with your actual stun grenades.
A lot of pressure and flashes are being put over the top, but there wasn't anything too drastic in terms of a body trying to get some revenge. Yak's on the far side, the slow creep round. They know that there's a player tucked in the corner. Lalo's going to force them out with the Flores drone, and then hopefully somebody might be in a position to catch them out. They go out of the position, down the hatch, and well, they were tucked in enough, nobody could get them. Blur is now the last one standing on that top hold, with Yak giving them a little bit of width here. He's hoping he can try and get a swing onto the balcony itself as soon as someone tries to pull some pressure, but MNM still aren't really playing their hand. As I said before, they are quite slow and steady with their setups here. They want to do it on a step-by-step process and make sure when they go for the move's going to be made, and it's buying Navi a little bit of anxiety time, but also time.
Time is slowly starting to tick down indeed. Just 75 seconds left on the clock to go for here. 65, excuse me. Yet there has been not made single progress by MNM. Yes, of course, they've eased up the library a little bit, but there's still 3 players ready to strike as soon as they do. As Tyrant is up again on the balcony here, takes small amounts of damage. It's actually being swung by a secondary door as well. Doesn't know the player is further up the stairs now, and as Users is hunting, someone snuck into the office.
Oh, he's gone right past the man. Tyrant's been able to tuck himself in, and that allows this, the trade out, where suddenly Yaki can't, but he does just find the connection. Lost the body on the stairs itself and is able to at least get the revenge, but it bought them a false sense of security. And now it leaves about just 30 seconds. Nello, he's got the kid. He's got to find his way through as the steady work starts to come across the top. Navi, well, they've just been on the wrong side of a 4 versus 3 attacker sort of collapse here, and they're going to see if they can try and right their wrongs. As I said, it's a big blow, but the first might come to the man in the position that cost them so dearly. But look, 5 seconds. They've still got to try and find this kid down, tucked in over the smoke. They're not going to have enough time. They got to find a new location. It's just hold F and hope the cover comes through. They can't get the full connection. Oh, it's an ace for Yak!
What a play that was! He just snuck by the Hibana there. The Type 89 went out of bullets, swaps over to the pistol, finds both. And Navi, they hold on. Navi will be able to win that round after it looked so dire for MNM. Almost no time left on the board. Had to force the execute. The smoke canister forced them to replay that. And somehow still come out on top here, Navi. 4 on 3. Wine Cellar up next. That must have been too close for comfort, but they won the round, so they say, let's go next.
Oh, it couldn't have been closer.
No, definitely couldn't have been. That almost would have gone down here as well. First of all, okay, this is unfortunate. Just so much HP being eaten up by those walls before he finally swaps over to the pistol. It's actually 3 kills with a pistol for Yak in that round.
It's the fact that first kill sort of happened because they slipped by where they thought Yak was. Oh, just the swap round. Killed a man through it, Yak. From 0 to 5T in the space of a round.
And an important one as well. So, he managed to put himself on the board in a spectacular fashion. Wins that round for Navi there. Now to head towards that basement. We don't see the same kind of lineup that we saw from MNM. No mirror windows, for example. Wonder what they did with the hedge. I mean, there is some reinforcements down there, so definitely seems like they want to hold it. Okay, has been reinforced off. So attackers will need to start attacking that just slightly for some extra battle cover. And as small amounts of pressure are being done, they wanted to take out the cam, but actually failed. So that might come back to bite them in the end.
Well, I think being bit is something that they've just been on the wrong end of anyway. Navi, by the skin of Yak's teeth, are able to get themselves that round through. But it's a response. As I said, it sort of resets a little bit of the mental of we just sort of lost the 4 versus 3. And now we've been able to take that back. But can they try and get a lead in? Can MNM try and get a little bit more pace? It was a slower approach, as I said before. They sort of fell victim towards it towards the dying moments there. Nello had 2 choices to make. The first one was smoked out, and the second one was time up. He couldn't focus on the fight itself and got caught out. A bit of a scrappy fight over the top of blue, as we just saw, but nobody was truly the victim outside of half of Solotov's health.
Of course, they're ish. Half-ish.
Half-ish. Yeah. A third. Sorry.
33.
My book was covering like the right of the screen.
It's all fine. Don't worry about it. There's Nello trying to push first here with that diffuser. Don't really want to die, but he has to open up that hatch. So uses one of the exothermics, and if you might wonder why don't you just use the ace? Well, it is because you need 2 Selmas and only 1 exothermic. So it's better to use the ace on the actual walls itself. Together, of course, with the 1 exothermic you have left, rather than use most of your Selmas.
Well, they know the player's tucked in on this corner. They know he's wasting time. We saw the drone roll in behind him, and there's the drone that rolls in front of him, but he's got a shotgun, at least 1 more canister. This one, he might try and tuck himself back round and escape the shield itself. Solotov had a moment of going for it with the skeleton key. Just almost missed out there. A very bold maneuver, but it's the back of the grenade that finally gets the lock-in. Tyrant finds Thunder. A lot of utility is thrown together, and now it's 30 seconds to see if they can try and lock down the site itself. Yak went for the pressure over the top. They know if they can get control of this hatch, it puts them in a pretty good situation. Just flicking around cams whilst they're tucked in safe, and it's Skiddy from the back line that gets one as Nello tries to see if he can just get this plant whilst they have that hatch control. Nath, he eyed up the idea, but it's Blur that dives deep, and suddenly a post plant, and suddenly Solotov gets Skiddy the revenge round on the far side. Yak is the important play right now. They have to see if they can try and lock down this control over the top. They find the important kill. 30 seconds. Can they try and put pressure onto the kit downwards itself? Nobody's coming their way round. They've moved into a slightly different location. They've tucked around the corner. MNM made the right response to losing it and then took it back anyway. They find it 4-4.
As soon as Nello got that plan down and the hatch was lost above us, Tyrant lost his life there. What Nello needed to do is actually start moving because he would be in that dangerous position. Finds those kills in the end as well. 4-4. So good calls being made here, opening up that hatch for a bit of pressure. Actually, the grenade coming in through the rotation hole that was being played by that smoke as he decided to fall back after going on a bit of an advantage towards the trench. Opened up a lot of possibilities for MNM. So, yeah, good round by them. Good usage of the utility. And yes, it was quite late in the round when the plan did go down, but they did make it stick and make little mistakes towards that point that allowed them to be so successful. I always get a bit, like, icky when it is like 20 seconds left and they're not on the site yet. You know that it's going to be very chaotic, but that round didn't really seem that chaotic. The one chaotic part was the smoke going aggressive onto trench, and after that, well, they managed to pretty simply get that plan down. No contention whatsoever.
I think that was sort of it. They'd done the numbers it's better actually say, in doing the numbers of working out how to pull out that smoke. They'd got a lot of the intel around and behind it. They knew that the breach was open behind him as well, whether he wanted to use that as an escape, but that becomes their route in towards the default plant, and usually that wall is a big bit of juggling you got to do. So I think they sort of took it, they had the hatch, they had the control, and then went, screw it. We have enough to get this kit down, let's do it, and sort of try and swing this momentum back round.
That's the thing, right? You can dig in really deep there in between the wine cellar. So as long as you have someone watching over the long angle, make sure they cannot step out behind a pillar. As long as you have someone making sure no one can run across from blue, and you have the hatch under control, that's all you need. It's very simple. Ace has been ranting about it many, many, many times before the broadcast. So, you know, it is as simple as that. It truly is. There is some piece of utility you could use in terms of C4 or gas canisters, but none of those were used. And as drones are being sent in and unfortunately taken out, Nello is setting up quite a good one, but unfortunately fell down.
Slippy beams.
Slippy beams. Might have been waxed recently, but it's not going to be able to use that one for information.
Blur rotates through the smoke and now finds him on the wrong end of potentially a buck. They're opening themselves up and the Razor Bloom doesn't quite get the full distance. Or maybe they did just want it on the lip of that rotate.
I doubt it, but...
I mean, it's there now. And you can see Blur's going to see if he can try and buy some time in this situation. He's expecting some pressure to come through, and they're going to see if they can try and force him down into Skitty's angle. Oh, the disc didn't quite activate in time. Perfectly cooked. Just played to a pace. And now they've pulled the first player out.
Should have tossed that earlier. I mean, you saw him 10 seconds earlier playing with the idea to actually toss up that disc. Didn't do it and actually lost his life as a result of it. So unfortunate for Blur there to lose his life as the entry. 70 seconds left though on that clock, and no one's really inside the building yet from the side of MNM. They're all on balconies or rappelled up or waiting outside of windows or doorways, and well, that diffuser does need to go down in about 60 seconds, so this one could be quite explosive, let's say from Tyrant mainly, who's looking to go for the jump into the bathroom.
There is also obviously the Candelas in the pocket of Nello. The man with the kit itself can see if he can try and blind and bluff his way into the site, but he might not need to because Tyrant suddenly gets a double headpiece. Solotov finds a third of his own, and Yak, well, he was the man of the defensive round before, but he's not going to be this one. It's the flawless for MNM to finally find themselves one ahead of their opponents.
Not quite sure how the lineup happened there for Tyrant. He's playing on the balcony, able to find two in quick succession, and that is going to be the call. Like, okay,
get intel and get a good read on your opponents, and in situations like that, assume that there'll be attention paid towards your routes out, your runs out, and that's the game that, you know, both these teams can play on their attack. It was always going to be the truest test though, because although obviously Skitty still 10-7, most of that came from that opening half, where he could be the one sort of punishing that pace, moving in and sort of saying, well, I know someone's in this position, so I'm just going to go take the fight. Here, when he's not quite as aware of where that pressure's coming from, that's what MNM are able to punish, and they're doing it in a very balanced route through. You're looking at obviously pretty much every player having an impact on a round. On the side of NAVI, sure, okay, there's only really Thunder that's a bit behind the pace, but remember that 5 of Yak's kills came on a single round, which got them the round win. It's not quite having that same 5-sided swing that MNM were able to do on their defense.
No, for sure not. And if we just quickly look back at Skitty, 2 triple kills as well into that first half. So that's 2 rounds where 6 of the kills come from. Still 4 in the other ones though. But he needs to find that same pace onto the defense here. It's basically the same if we start looking at Spoits on Rogue. He's very good on the attack, but as soon as we head towards the defense, he's sort of dies down a little bit. He's not going to be as explosive, as flashy anymore as he was before. Skitty almost losing his life there. Also takes away a lot of the HP of Solotov, but loses more in his own process there.
I was going to say, it's worth sort of looking at how he's getting involved in this early fight. There is a lot of pressure and a lot of presence on the basement hold, the cellar. Navi's going for a full stretch and extension. They're trying to waste as much time of M&Ms on the top floor because they've sort of read that that was the game that got them that early round alongside the ace. They know that they can slow M&M, so it's down now to M&M to see if they can try and do what I talked about. Get this vague information that can turn into this direct information and try and get some direct action behind it. The pressure pushes the players further and further away. You can see they've gone for the clear on the top floor as well. Users and Solotov are trying to make work on the opposite side towards the library and see if they can try and swing and get it across. Yak, he's a bit loose. Blur and Nath are there to offer some support, with Skitty still above.
Still holding tight indeed. Nath is trying to fall back a little bit towards the actual side. It's giving space to MNM. This is a good adaptation though. Hatch has been electrified this time, so also get the 2 walls or the 1 wall if they want to. On the other side, it's not the case, however, as the smoke's playing close yet again. Surrey Lasergate this time into the trench wall as well to make sure there's no quick aggression coming through. So, of course, that has to be burned out if they want to go for a bit of a push here. But as they cannot get that hatch now, they need to use the Maverick to get rid of it, or at least find a way in to send a grenade down to actually get rid of the Electroplan.
This is it, though. 2 minutes have gone. No players have been removed from the board. They're looking to try and do this pressure onto Thunder. A slightly different approach as the Aruna Gate's been burnt out. Nello He's going to bounce this round and see if they can get some of the pressure there onto that wall. The extension is opened, and Yak is trying to find a fight on the opposite side of it. Gets some of the X-Kairos, and Thunder gets Nello, and Thunder gets twice. Hits Usus and strikes across the board. There's one more for Thunder, and I said he hadn't quite an impact before this round. A triple is a mighty fine one.
Can I ask a question, Emmy?
Yeah.
How is Thunder allowed to swing out towards Trench, where there's two people watching his very move? There's one person on the main stairs watching supposedly towards that same direction as well, and he manages to get all three of them. I don't know, but I don't think that should happen. Incredible gunplay coming through from Thunder there. A bit of a slip-up from MNM, not truly being able to deal with his position there. And of course, a lot of utility tossed in. Flashbangs, but picked up by ADSs, or that magnet there, unable to quickly get grenades afterwards in a quick succession. And that allowed Thunder to make that play. And now, you know, after we said that, well, Kayak, he had 0 kills until he aced. Well, Thunder just put up 3 on the board as well. So he is starting to get going, and back on 5-5 we go. In a very important round, 11, where one of these two teams is going to get a point on the board and put the pressure up even more so for the other.
It's that other horrible time where you talk about at the beginning of the game, you talk about at the end of the game, is how important points are and how this is really a 6-point game based on the fact of how tight the teams are across the board. From 2nd through to 7th place, there is a difference of 3 points. And right in the middle of that, 4th and 5th on the divide between going to Berlin and not, is NAVI and MNM, both sitting on 9 points. If you lose any of that, even if you get the win, if you just get the 2 points and you have all these teams still floating around you within 3 points of you, that could be devastating with the rest of them still to play today, knowing that they might be able to put a bit of difference in even if you get the win off.
I was going to say they can both be losers today. If this goes to OT and a 2-1 comes out for, you know, either of these two teams, let's say Navi wins this one with 2, MNM gets 1. MNM has a bit of an easier run through for the rest of the league. They could both be out based on this result coming through. So both of them will want to go for the full 3 points, but neither wants to concede any to the other, as it should be. In this tough competition, a beautiful one-tap from Solotov, just waiting for the head of Nave to peek around the corner, finds it. And with that, an entry kill on a very important round that we just said.
A different approach to pressure here. They're going to force the player out quite early. That little line means that pantry becomes pretty unplayable. Sure, you can get in there, but you never quite know where's safe. So instead, Thunder has to tuck himself in. It just took a little bit of structural work, and it instantly pulls a weakness down onto the site itself. The cover of the smoke, the Flores drone gets caught out by the mute jammer just tucked on the other side of the window. They're not going to be able to force the player that way, but the player's still able to get his way out of there before he becomes a bit of Swiss cheese with bullets. Blur is tucked round, still on the top, holding on for as long as he can as a little bit more structural work's done. But if we throw our minds back, it was close, but they ran out of time here. They're able to find another one, and it was the man of the last time round here. Yak off the board next.
Yak wanted to make sure that that staircase is not to be played, wanted to retake it to give some security towards Thunder. And as soon as he died, he moved back out of the pantry here, now playing closely around the bomb chassis, which is currently being haunted by many of these Retiro drones. But Thunder finds Solotov, then gets picked up by Neo from that one stripe line that we talked about so many times before, which makes pantry completely unplayable.
Blur almost had a bit of a whiff there of a player, but they've pulled themselves back round. I think the reveal is, well, the site's quite empty, so if we can try and stick ourselves in, suddenly Skiddy's back on the boards, though. He's going to swing round, see if he can get himself popped over, but it's the watch of Neo round in the back line, protects the planter, and now a post-plant with Blur. Down from the top rope. Neo's going to get himself structured on this window. We'll hear the call, and we'll see the reveal. The pre-fire comes around the corner, a little bit more and a little bit more, but now they know where the player is. Well, it just takes the watch. MNM, the first to hit map point. One more round, but it's pretty tricky, this game.
They managed to get 4 kills because they wanted to make a single Maverick line onto the pantry wall. First of all, we have Buck just waiting onto those blue stairs because they wanted to set up security. They wanted to make sure no one's down there. They find that first kill who's looking to rotate down into the basement. They then proceed to open up the pantry. They make a small line, which is just enough for the player to look through, but it's going to be very difficult to challenge for a defender inside a pantry. They move back, because Kayak is coming in. Kayak wanted to make sure that that basement is under control, the basement is secured, so they do not have to worry about the line that's made in pantry. This is that first shot, by the way, that Solotov made. Beautiful first one-tap onto Nave.
Ah, filthy.
But as soon as they find Kayak, they can freely play that staircase. No one is there anymore to tell. No one is there anymore to tell them otherwise. Unless they find that first kill onto the smoke player who was just trying to move out, Thunder that was, and then they find a second after the rotation back to try and stop that diffuser from happening. So 4 kills because they wanted to make that one line coming through. That is how important it was for that attack. And that allowed MNM to be onto match point right now. 6-5, a single point on the board. They will overtake Navi just temporarily and will push themselves up into second place for now. And they can make it permanent if they find the next round to put themselves 3 up over Navi. And with that, it would also overtake Rogue, who still are to play today.
Well, that's the thing. I talked about it before. I said all of Navi's games in hand ahead with the teams that at the start of the day were ahead of them. All of MNM's are the teams that are underneath them. If they can take the 3 points here, suddenly all they're doing is fighting to push the pack that's already below them further and further away. BDS, Outsiders, and Pones are the 3 remaining games MNM have. This is statistically the toughest one that they might have as the lead in. BDS, they're only 1 point behind Navi, but it's still a technical 1 point. And this is their best chance to really start to put a bit of a distance here across that core swing of the board. Yak, he might be the problem that comes and haunts itself a little bit later. Neo's tucked around on piano window. They're getting some of the control here over the top of the shield, the burn and the pressure towards, once again, a heavy hold here. No one pretty much in the site itself. There's a spray through a window that Neo didn't even recognize it.
Oh, no, he didn't. He didn't even realize if Kayak would have wanted, he could have gotten a free kill onto Neo there, but he dropped down towards the west main area now. Solotov is looking through it, though. He's like, hey, this has been opened up. I'm pretty sure that was not our thinking Neo that did that, so let me be quickly getting on that drone to find out if someone is out there.
Steady control and intel. They're going for the lobby side this time round. They're going to see if they can try and go for what was the first take and the pressure. Skitty still tucked him around in the corner. Some destruction starts to come round. Looks for the fight. Finds it. Neo knocked off the board. The first take and scrape is on the side of Skitty. The first time they've had a lead in here around on this site itself. And now it's down to MNM to see if they can bite back. And it might be Tyrant. Creeps round, gets one inside the site. Looks to see if he can find the second. It's the hatch from the top down. Tyrant, he goes for 3! Tyrant bites and fights his way across the site itself. Skitty, he's still in a vertical position, but he has no real line of support. It's dangerous, made much worse, made impossible. MNM take the 3 points just at the tip of the wire. Tyrant with that ending kills drive them to a necessary 3 points.
Tyrant indeed with a massive triple kill. They lose that first engagement by the last round of a burst, hitting the head of Neo on that Finka, and Tyrant decides to, it is time to go in. It's time to click that execute button and find